What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Passable Ball Knowledge Podcast. My name is Sam. That is Aaron. Today, we have a big show in store, a lot of coaching news to break down, and obviously, the major headline is man, what a slate of games for the championship round. We know the Super Bowl matchup. We'll be diving into the championship games and, what we thought about each team, and then also, talk maybe briefly about the Super Bowl matchup before we do a much bigger preview at one point later. But first, before we begin, Aaron, how you doing?
I am doing fine.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm rather tired after today.
Yeah, as I'm sure most people have been. The where we live, the Northeast New England, has been absolutely trounced by a major snowstorm. We got like 16 inches or something like that. It's bad, and a lot of energy went into shoveling today and clearing the area. And it's still honestly not clear because it's still snowing outside. Um, so yeah, it's rough, but yep, we're here. And hey, the snow yesterday meant we got a lot of time to spend watching football. But before we dive into the games, let's talk about the major coaching news of the weekend and of the day that came out. We got some stuff to break down. Obviously, the big one here is Mike McCarthy is the new coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a truly surprising hire to me. The Steelers, they have a formula of young defense as far as like their coach. They got old offense. Mike McCarthy is significantly older than Mike Tomlin. He is this is his third team, and it's already rare for coaches to be a head coach 3 times for 3 different teams. A lot of weird stuff going on here. Aaron, I mean, just in general, like I guess I don't necessarily want to go like back and forth. Like I think we just need to have a discussion here. Like I don't like this hire. And I mean, you can try to change my mind about it. To me, I felt like the Steelers had a chance to reset and not in a negative way. Like literally say, hey, we've had the same coach for 20 years. Let's go get a young guy who will kind of reinvigorate this culture. And they go with the oldest coach on the cycle. They go with the coach who perhaps like I don't know. It's just so uninspiring to me. Like, how do you feel about it? Because I hate it. I don't know. I just can't stomach this.
It doesn't make sense. There was no reason for them to hire him. Like, I know a guy who was born in Pittsburgh. I think he coached at Pitt for a little bit, but but I feel like this is the exact thing that Steelers are tired of for the last like 5 years, like at least. It is just old team after old team after old team, and this hire does nothing but put you at a probable 9-8, 10-7, uh, thing. Mike McCarthy. I mean, there's no denying he is a winner, but at the same time, this Pittsburgh didn't need this. They are already an old. You should have gone out and gotten somebody young, somebody that can really fire up this team to maybe get you past that like hump of 10-7 that you feel like you've been at for the last um or a guy that'll just give fans some kind of interest in this team because now like I feel like they made this hire to try and get Aaron Rodgers to come back. I feel like that's the only reason you would hire McCarthy. Um so like it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I just think it's just generally the wrong hire that the Steelers could have made.
Yeah, I mean, to me specifically, I think my problem is that like I don't want to make it seem like I don't think Mike McCarthy is a good coach or would have been a good hire this cycle. I specifically hate it for the Steelers. I think Mike McCarthy would have made a lot of sense for a lot of these teams that are kind of bottoming out and are at this point where they just need someone to stabilize the organization, Mike McCarthy, I feel like, is a high floor guy. I feel like, like he's the type of coach where, hey, bring him in, and at worst, you're going to be 6-11, and maybe you can sneak up to 9-8 and be decent. But my problem with Pittsburgh is that the thing with them is that they have had a famously high floor for the last 20 years. But what they don't have is a high ceiling. Like, that's why everybody says every year the Steelers go 9-8. They go 9-8. They go 8-8. They go, like that was what they did for a solid, half a decade up until this point. And you hire a floor raiser for a team that already has a high floor and a very low ceiling. It just doesn't feel like it makes sense to me. It doesn't. I feel like you can't rationalize it at all. I mean, I don't know. It just, to me, I truly feel like Mike McCarthy is the wrong hire for this team. There's not a single aspect of it outside of the feel good fact that he was from Pittsburgh and has an emotional connection there. Outside of that, you can't sell me that this is a good hire. You can't sell me that this hire makes any real sense. And, now you're this, like, Mike McCarthy is 62 years old. Like, he's going to be gone in less than a decade. And I don't think you're going to win a Super Bowl in that time. So, like, what are we doing here? Like, I mean, is there any part of you that likes this, like, even a little bit? Or because, like, for me, it just feels like a straight up miss by Pittsburgh. It feels like they got impatient. Like, they didn't want to wait for some other coaches to lose to hire someone, and they just hired the interview that they liked the most.
Yeah, there's no real benefit, I think, from this. I thought that they would at least go out and get a young guy so you could have a coach. Yeah, don't worry about it. But now you have a guy who I think is going to be there for maybe 7 months. Because, like you said, he's already 62. You don't want a 70-year-old coach. Like, something that's super, like, viable now. Like, the game is changing. You can't have a guy that's still coaching how he was when he was like 50 coach for the Packers. Because it's starting to show old coaches don't really work anymore. Like Andy Reid, older coach that is still working out in the league, that has been with his. That's kind of like still like in that old school kind of football. Like Pete Carroll doesn't work anymore. Who else was there?
Belichick ran his course.
Yeah, he didn't work. So, like, times are changing. Mike McCarthy, who I think basically holds you back from reaching any higher. Now, I know he, but same with Tomlin, and those guys both won the Super Bowls 20 years ago, and that's why Steelers fans wanted to get rid of Tomlin because he won a Super Bowl, but what have we done since? And it's the same with Mike McCarthy. You won a Super Bowl, but what have you done since then with the Packers and the Cowboys? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I just think it makes little to no sense for the Steelers to hire Mike McCarthy.
I just can't. I can't make sense of it. I can't, and it feels like this is a move where in 5 years we're going to look back and we're going to say, so they're just average again. Like, that's their thing. They're just going to be eternally average. They're going to be eternally watchable, and that's the standard in Pittsburgh. I feel like they're like, when they hired Mike Tomlin, I feel like we have to remember Mike Tomlin was 34 and was a defensive coordinator for only 1 year in Minnesota. Like, that's a ballsy hire. That is a ballsy, risky hire. That is like that was not necessarily like they hired some, oh, this guy's a slam dunk. You can't miss with this guy. It's not like you're hiring that. You were taking a risk when hiring Mike Tomlin. And now you replace him by taking, like, this feels like it's game 7 of the World Series. Bases are loaded. You got 2 outs and you try to bunt. You're down, like, you're down 4, so you kind of need a home run anyways. and you just try to lay down a stupid bunt. Like that's what it feels like. And it feels like they are not stepping out of their comfort zone. And it feels like they hired a worse Mike Tomlin. Like that's what bugs me. It feels like they hired Mike Tomlin, but worse. And I like Mike McCarthy. I want that to be known. I think if Mike McCarthy was hired by the Titans or was hired by the Browns or someone that is like the bottom is falling out and they need someone to hire to take this job so that they can just stabilize the organization. In my mind, that makes sense. To go to an organization that is infamously stable, if not too stable, like I don't know. I'm genuinely frustrated, and we have to move on because this job is just gonna talking about Mike McCarthy is just gonna piss me off. Let's move on to our next topic here. We're gonna stay in the AFC North. The Browns coaching job has seemed to take a lot of movement here in the last 24 hours. And we'll start with Grant Udinski pulling his name out of consideration for this job. It really felt to me like he might get this job. And now it has seemed that he pulled his name out. However, I would like it to be known that a lot of times when it's reported that someone pulled their name out of consideration, that sometimes it also means that they were informed by the team that they will not be getting the job. And they're trying to do the media thing by saying, oh, well, I'm pulling my name out. I didn't want the job anyways. So that is worth noting. So we don't really know what to believe there. But either way, Grant Udinski will not be the next coach of the Cleveland Browns. Aaron, for Udinski, it seems like he signed an extension with Jacksonville, and it's either he's going to stay in Jacksonville or he's going to try to get the Bills job. Do you think Udinski gets a job this cycle now that it's just down to him and either Buffalo or nobody or staying in Jacksonville?
I don't think he'll get a job this year. I think that was his last real chance to get a job. But I don't think it's a negative thing. The guy, he's 30 years old. So I think that not taking a job would even be kind of smart of him, and develop a little bit, and then maybe you'll be like a Ben Johnson next year, just like the super hot commodity, instead of having to settle for like the Browns job. So I don't think he'll end up getting a job. I think he's a little too young and risky for Buffalo. It's a team that really has to start winning now. And he might not be that guy he could be, but we just don't know enough, obviously. So yeah, I forgot what I was saying, but
okay. Well, yeah, Udinski, for me, it feels like his chance was in Cleveland. I felt like that would have been a job that he would have liked to take. However, now it basically seems that they're down to two. And, it's Jim Schwartz, the DC, who I predicted to get that job. So far on predictions, by the way,
looking real shaky.
We've been worse than last year. But I did predict Schwartz to the Browns. However, the Browns finalized their second interview today with a candidate who has really come out of nowhere and now seems to be a strong candidate to get this Browns job. And that is Nate Scheelhaase, the Rams pass game coordinator, I believe only like 35 years old. After the Rams loss yesterday, the Browns flew in to speak with Scheelhaase in LA. And according to Peter Schrager, that interview went on for like 5 hours. Like they were just meeting for 5 hours. And it seems that if Scheelhaase will not get this Browns job tonight or tomorrow, that he will likely speak with the Bills virtually. So I believe that might actually be happening tonight, that he's speaking with the Bills virtually. However, in theory, Browns brass is in LA. They could offer Scheelhaase that job if they want. Seems to me like this job is essentially down to two at this point. Aaron, Scheelhaase is this kind of relative unknown coming into this coaching cycle, and he starts to get all these interviews, and it seems as though now that he is one step away from landing a job in Cleveland. What do you think about the Browns, and ultimately between these two candidates of the safe hire of Jim Schwartz, or the kind of stepping out of your comfort zone hire of Nate Scheelhaase, where do you think that they are going to end up, and where do you think that they should end up in your opinion?
Um, I mean, it's kind of hard to speak on Scheelhaase. I don't know a lot about him. I don't think anybody knows a lot about him, unless you're maybe a Rams fan. Um, but I think it would be a good hire. I think that it would be, good to step out of your comfort zone. You've hired your past couple hires have been, Kevin Stefanski was good for, um, like 3 or 4 years there, but like outside of that, like your hires have been pretty rough. So I think that they should take a step outside of their comfort zone, and do anything to kind of get the fans excited about this team, and taking a risk on a young, up and coming, not even a coordinator, like assistant. Um, so I think they should end up there, and I do think they will end up hiring Scheelhaase. Whether that's, I think it'll probably happen tomorrow. By tomorrow, I mean January 27th. Um, so yeah, I think they're going to end up hiring him, and I think it's going to be a good hire, just so you get the fans excited, and you step out of your comfort zone a little bit just to see what happens with a team that doesn't really have too much going for it right now.
Yeah, I think the question for me with Scheelhaase is there's always a question of with Rams offensive assistants, how much like do they really control considering that they are in the room with Sean McVay? Um, so for me, Scheelhaase would feel like a huge swing, especially because like this is a guy who's never called plays before, but forget calling plays, like he's not even a coordinator. So like the question there would really be like, how much did this guy really do? He seems to be highly regarded, but it's a risk for me. I feel like this is a huge swing, and this has a chance to blow up in your face, or it could be that Sean McVay type surprise hire. So for me, I feel like they will also end up hiring Scheelhaase. I think of the two choices, that's the right move. But if you want me to be honest, I think Scheelhaase is like their seventh choice. Like I think they wanted a lot of people before they got to Scheelhaase. So we'll see where that goes. Really unknown. He should be interviewing with the Bills tonight. So there's a world where like maybe something comes out there. The Bills job has been moving very slowly, very strangely. The problem with the Bills is since they fired their coach so late, they can't interview someone like Clint Kubiak, who is now going to the Super Bowl. The only teams that can interview Clint Kubiak if they want to are the Cardinals and Raiders, because those are the only two teams that had a virtual interview with Kubiak beforehand. Basically, the way it works is for Patriots and Seahawks assistants, since that they have 2 weeks between now and the Super Bowl, they can only interview with teams who they had already interviewed with before. So the Bills cannot interview, they can't even talk to Clint Kubiak until after the Super Bowl. So who knows
And
what's
this
going to happen there?
could be a fight for him too. It's not just the Bills that are going for him. Like I think every team wants Clint Kubiak right now.
Yeah, and we'll get to why a lot of teams want Clint Kubiak in a second. We'll keep up with the coaching talk here. After the Broncos lost yesterday, there's one name that has been in very high demand. And coming into the cycle, a lot of people thought it was going to be Vance Joseph was going to be that guy, that, DC for the Broncos, former head coach who has really built up a stout unit in Denver. However, it is the young, unproven passing game coordinator slash quarterbacks coach, Davis Webb, the former player not too long ago for the Giants. He is in high demand. He is interviewing in person today in Las Vegas with the Raiders. He feels like a strong candidate for that job. I believe Tom Brady has a lot of respect for him, and I think he has a lot of respect for Sean Payton as well. And Webb is a guy, this is once again a relative unknown. I think a lot more people probably know this guy's name because he played in the NFL and because he did get drafted. But at the end of the day, Webb is a more unknown. So he is interviewing with the Raiders today, and I believe tomorrow he will be in Buffalo for an interview with the Bills. And it's worth noting that Davis Webb was in the same quarterback room as Josh Allen not too long ago. So this is the guy who has familiarity with Buffalo and seems to be a hot candidate for the Raiders. And it seems like teams are really trying to pounce on this guy early. Aaron, kind of in the same boat as Shieldhouse, Webb is a unknown relative to like, hey, this guy called plays for a great offense or called plays for a great defense, or hey, this guy was a head coach a few years ago. Davis Webb is 31 years old. This would be the second youngest coach ever hired. Um, I mean, where do you fall in the Davis Webb talk here? And I mean, where do you think he'll end up? Do you think the Bills take a swing, or do you think he feels like a Raider, or do you think he'll stay put?
Um, I think he'll end up staying in Denver. But if a team hires him, I just don't know if it makes a lot of sense. Um, Not a play caller. Broncos offense isn't fantastic. Bo Nix isn't, lighting up the league. Maybe it's more of like a character thing. Maybe he's really good at like X's and O's, but I just don't think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of teams. I don't think he would be a fantastic hire just because of how unproven he is. Like he was playing in the league 4 years ago. I don't know. I checked my watch to see the year, but he was playing in the league 4 years ago, and he's already and he would already be a head coach. I just wouldn't love it for a lot of teams, and especially for a team like the Raiders, where you've had three head coaches in the last 3 years. Um, I just don't think it makes a lot of sense, and you really can't afford to go 0 for 4 on recent head coaching hires. Um, and so I think the Raiders just need to do something more, or sorry, the Raiders need to do something safer than hire Davis Webb, who I think like just became a coach. Like he has not been coaching for a long time.
I'm not sure if I agree with you. I think, if anything, the Raiders made that safe hire this year and it blew up in their face. They hired Pete Carroll, and he was the definition of a safe hire, the guy who was supposed to raise your floor, supposed to be a safe, inoffensive choice who should just steady the organization. And the bottom fell out yet again. And he got you the first pick. So for me, in my opinion, I don't think he makes any sense for the Bills given where they are, but for the Raiders, I think it's like, if you think that this guy's the guy and if Brady regards him highly and all that, I would not hate it if Webb is the guy there. I think it's okay to take a shot after hiring the safe one. Now, maybe you could argue that Webb is too much of a shot and it's like too much of an overcorrection after hiring Pete Carroll. I don't necessarily think that's a bad take, but in general, I think if you find Davis Webb to be the guy, I say you go for it. Um, I think he's highly regarded. Sean Payton connection there. And I think he's had a lot to do with that Bo Nix development. And I think that's gotten him a lot of approval there. So we'll move on to the final coaching topic here. Cardinals' job also seems to be coming to somewhat of a point here. And an interesting note came out today from Adam Schefter, where the Cardinals were known to be interviewing Anthony Weaver in person today, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe makes them compliant with the Rooney Rule. I don't know if they were before, but they definitely are now, because they interviewed Raheem Morris in person, and then they also interviewed Anthony Weaver today. So therefore, they are now kind of open to hire anyone if they so feel like it. And right after it came out that they were interviewing Anthony Weaver today, turns out that tonight they will be having a meeting with Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. And that interview, notably, will be going tonight into tomorrow in Arizona. So that is a multi-day visit. Um, this feels like significant movement for that Cardinals job. Now, LaFleur is obviously the brother of Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach. Once again, kind of in that same boat as Shieldhouse, where it's like, hey, he's an offensive coach in the Sean McVay engine. What is his role truly? I mean, this is where guys like Kevin O'Connell came from, guys like Zach Taylor, so I mean, we've seen those coaches be successful, but how much did he really have to play with? But it looks like the Cardinals might be gearing up to snag a division rival's offensive coordinator to be their head coach. At least that's where I go to this point. I mean, Aaron, how are you feeling about, LaFleur potentially being the answer in Arizona?
I think it'd be a good hire. I mean, once again, I don't know too much about him. I'm sure you know more, just because you play him 2 times a year. But I think it would be good. Yeah, I think it would be a good hire. He kind of feels like a stabilizer for the Cardinals there. Um, and you need someone that can do anything with offense. And I know he's not a play caller, but you know he's worked with a fantastic offense all year. So I think I would like that hire. But honestly, just talking the broader perspective of the Cardinals' job, I think they're gonna. I hate to say it, I think they're gonna hire Raheem Morris. I
Really?
think
Really? You think Raheem Morris is going to be the guy there?
I feel like I've seen way more talk about Raheem Morris to the Cardinals than I have about any other person. Um, I don't know why they would do it. Maybe they saw how they finished, how like the Falcons finished last year, and they like that. But I think they're going to hire Raheem Morris, or at the very least, I could see them hiring Mike LaFleur and then hiring Raheem Morris as DC because I do believe they were in the same period, or they were together in the same period in LA. Um, so yeah, I think he's going to end up with the Cardinals in one way or another.
To me, I think LaFleur is going to land this job. I think the 2-day visit is significant, and the fact that they brought in the Rooney Rule compliant candidate right before they're interviewing him in a multi-day process feels like they're tipping their hand a little bit as to, hey, like, we're trying to get compliant with the rule right before you come in for a couple days. Like that feels like they're showing their hand. Um, to me, I really feel as though that LaFleur is like, he's once again, Sean McVay is this Midas man type coach at this point where everything he touches turns to gold. Like, hey, if you were an offensive coach and you were even kind of connected to Sean McVay, like you could have known Sean McVay from like college and they'd probably give you a job. Like that's just where it is with Sean McVay at this point. Um, I mean, LaFleur, once again, like I said, and I'm repeating myself, but it always comes down to like, what have you actually done for this offense? And obviously, this Rams offense is great, and it was great. And Matt Stafford had a career year and all that, but the question always comes down to like, okay, what did he actually do? What did he actually have his hand in? Is he just able to put his name next to this because he was the OC, or did he actually have a major impact on the team and everything they did? I think that's interesting. Um, yeah, I don't really know what to think about LaFleur because it feels like whenever there's an offensive Sean McVay guy, it's always a little dangerous. Like Kevin O'Connell was the Rams OC, did not call plays, and I think he's for the most part worked out pretty well. But at the end of the day, like you just don't know. You just don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals would be lucky just to hire anyone from in division because all of those teams are so good. And we'll touch on two of those teams later on. But first, we have to talk about the game before them. And some could say, unfortunately, talk about the game before them. The Patriots are AFC champions. They beat the Broncos in Denver. The major storyline coming in, Jarrett Stidham starting for the Denver Broncos. I think in general, I think a lot of people thought New England was going to win. I actually thought Denver was going to win. I trusted Jarrett Stidham. And let me tell you, through the end of the first quarter, I was feeling pretty fucking good about that prediction. Jarrett Stidham came out. He had a rough first drive, and then he hits that deep ball to Marvin Mims in the second drive press past Christian Gonzalez. Rolls out, throws a nice little touchdown to Cortland Sutton, and all of a sudden you're starting to feel it. Like the Denver defense was really dominating New England, and it felt like they couldn't get anything going there. And then, the Broncos offense is moving the ball, and hey, all of a sudden they're down there again, and then they go for it on 4th and 1. They could have gone up 10-0. And this has been a decision that's been talked about a lot. They go for it, play gets blown up, and then it seems like everything kind of shifts from there vibe wise. In general, with the weird backwards pass. Like, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I'm not like a physics expert or anything. I don't know how the fuck that ball went backwards, because it did go backwards. Like, the ball went backwards. But like, Jarrett Stidham was facing forward and pushed the ball forward, and it went backwards.
Yeah.
Cover, they score a touchdown, and then in the second half, I remember seeing this tweet. Aaron, earlier in the game, you were like, "Hey, I think it's snowing," and I was like, "No, it's not snowing. I think it's just kind of cloudy." And then at the beginning of the second half, I see Albert Breer, who was at the game, tweet, "Some light flurries are starting in Denver." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, flurries, whatever." At the start of the fourth quarter, you could not see the field. And that is the storyline of this game. The Patriots scored 10 points. That was all they needed, because in the last probably 20 minutes of game time, the visibility on the field was literally zero. They could not see the yard markers. It seems like nobody was prepared for the fact that it might snow. And all of a sudden, that decision to not kick the field goal by Sean Payton ends up being a very controversial one. And I don't know if Sean Payton knew it was going to snow. Like, I think if he knew it was going to snow, I think he probably should have taken his points. But I mean, Aaron, a lot has been talked about in the decision making of this game for the Broncos. Where are you at on that decision, which has been at this point very controversial?
I mean, in the moment, I thought it wouldn't be too bad. It's, if I was playing Madden, I probably would have gone for it. But that's Madden. If you didn't know it was going to snow, then that's fine. But I assume all the research possible goes into like making sure like it doesn't like whether it snows or not.
Hey, is it going to snow in January in Denver? That feels like a likely thing that could happen.
Like, I can't imagine that he didn't know it was going to snow. But I think it was the right decision at the time. But obviously now, it's not, because you lost the game. So that's all I have to say about it. I don't remember too much from that game. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the big piece feels like it feels like when you're talking about this game, the snow is obviously the first thing that comes to mind, and you feel as though that is what killed Denver in the end, and it feels like that is what did it. I can't blame Sean Payton for going for it on the 4th and 1. I do think that if he knew that there was snow coming, I think I would have gone. I think I would have taken my points, especially given how well your defense was playing up until that point. I mean, let's be real. Without that fumble, New England probably scores 3 points all game without that backwards pass fumble. And I mean, in the moment, I can't hate it, but hindsight is always so powerful that you see the snow, you see the fact that they could not score any points, and you're thinking to yourself, man, those 3 points would have been really nice to have right now. For me, though, I think the storyline has to come to New England, right? And they're 9-0 on the road. And more importantly, I mean, this is a Patriots team that all year it's been the defense. I mean, it's been the offense. Like Drake May MVP talks, Josh McDaniels reviving this offense. You got Stephon Diggs and Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, all these guys who have been getting all this talk. And in the playoffs, Aaron, Aaron just played a fucking gong.
I'm sorry.
Um, in okay, what I was saying, what is that? What is that? Um, the the Patriots all year have had such a good offense, and I feel like their offense has been the story as to why this team has been good. But the Patriots just won 3 straight games in the playoffs, essentially exclusively with good defense. They've played 3 elite defenses. Their offense hasn't played well, and they've won all 3 because their defense has showed up. That being said, I think that they were really lucky that Jarrett Stidham was the one that started this game. Right? I mean, you can't help but feel that that Bo Nix in the snow would have offered a clear, distinct advantage to Jarrett Stidham with the fact that Bo Nix can run, and also the fact that, hey, Bo Nix probably wouldn't have had those other shitty drives. And I felt like Jarrett Stidham had a really difficult time, like with hanging onto the ball for too long, and it felt like he just was uncomfortable all day in the pocket, and it felt like he was never truly there, and you could see that he hadn't started a game in a long time. I mean, it's been almost 2 years since he started a game. For me, it just truly feels like New England was very fortunate that Jarrett Stidham started this game. But at the end of the day, like, hey, you win the games that you have to win, and you're given the situations, and you just have to win. And credit to New England, they did. Now, that being said, I would not blame a lot of people for not being very enthusiastic about this Patriots team. And neither am I. I mean, I'm a Seahawks fan. We're playing them in the Super Bowl. I'm not disregarding them by any means. I think that they are a very good team. But once again, I said this last time when I was picking this Broncos game, when I was picking this game in our last episode, you can't help but feel that this team just has not played their best football in the playoffs. And maybe you can make an argument for, hey, they're due to play their best game in the playoffs. They're due to have that big game. Their defense has put together 3 phenomenal performances, and their offense, playing 3 legitimate defenses, has not played well at all. And I hate to break it to you, but it's not going to get any easier when you got to play Seattle, who is going to be traveling a very short distance to a stadium that they are very familiar playing in. So it's like, where do you go at this point? It's like, what is, like, how is this actually going to end up looking? But at the end of the day, credit to New England. They played a great game. I mean, Aaron, with what New England has done right now, I mean, obviously they're in the Super Bowl. They should feel good, but how do you think, like, they should really feel? Like, how do you think that they should, like, what do you think is the takeaway when watching New England through 3 playoff games where, admittedly they have not looked unbeatable like at some points they did in the regular season?
I think that you're saying, okay, the Patriots have won playing, great defense and playing good offense, or playing bad offense, but now you're at a point where you're going against a great defense, which they have 3 times in these playoffs already. But now and those 3 teams didn't have any, offense. But now you're playing Seattle, who has a top 3 defense in the league and a good offense. So now it's like, okay, we need to start playing offense now. Which I don't think is impossible for them to do. We obviously saw them play great offense all year, but I think when you're playing the Seahawks team, it's going to show that we need to lock in, like, on offense, or else we're going to lose this game. And I think that a lot has to go into that, going into the Super Bowl, which we'll talk about next episode.
I totally agree that like in the sense of New England hasn't they haven't had to play their best football to win these games, which I think is okay. But they haven't had to score really anything at all through 3 playoff games. I mean, how many points have they scored altogether? It was like like 16, 28, and then
Uh, they scored 21 against the Texans, 10 against the Broncos, and who do they play in the first round?
they played the Chargers in the first round.
I think they scored like 20 points in that too.
I'll find the stats here, but I mean, listen, once again, you simply can't fault the Patriots for winning games that they need to win. And I'm not going to fault the Patriots, but once again, if you're a Patriots fan, you can't help but feel that this is not the dominant level of performance that you would have wanted to see through all these playoff games. So hang on, I'm just gonna do some quick math here. 54 points they've scored in 3 playoff games. For reference, for simple reference, Seattle has scored 72 in 2 playoff games.
Yep.
So, hey, like it's time to start scoring points, and it's just not going to be easy against the defense that has been so great and so good. But anyways, I mean, congratulations to the Patriots. They are a miraculous turnaround. Shout out to Mike Vrabel and the job that's been done there. They still got 1 game to go, and that 1 game is going to be against, as we mentioned, the Seattle Seahawks, who played. I think everybody was sitting during that Patriots game, especially at one point when it got to that blizzard, and they're thinking, oh my fucking God, can we just get to Seahawks Rams already? Like, can we just get to the game that is actually going to excite me in any way? And this game has been billed as like the best 3-game series that any 2 teams have played in any season in NFL history. And they had already played the game of the year beforehand, and it's the 2 best teams, I think, as most people perceive, the 2 best teams in the NFL going head to head in division rivalry. There is so much to talk about in this Seahawks Rams game, where the Seahawks emerged victorious 31-27 in an unbelievable, another classic game for the ages. And I mean, I think for this game, we have to kind of go, I think it's only right to go through chronologically because there's so much and so many things happened and there were so many big turning points in this game. I think for me, where I need to start but the first play I think of when I'm thinking about the series of this game is on 3rd and 5. It's early on in this game, and the Seahawks had just forced the Rams to go 3 and out, and the Seahawks get the ball, and they have a chance to make a statement. They have the ball around their own 20, and it's 3rd and 5, and Sam Darnold finds Rashid Shaheed for a 51-yard ball down the sideline. From that moment on, I mean, I said it in the podcast last time, it felt crucial to me, especially considering how much Sam Darnold had struggled against the Rams in the past. It felt crucial to me to get him going quickly. You need to get him confident, in a rhythm, feeling like he can make the plays that he needs to make, because you can't have him playing scared and you can't have him playing risky. And when he hits that pass to Shaheed down the sideline, it's perfect. It's in stride. There's been a lot talked about, oh man, his injury. Can he still throw the ball downfield? I think all that's gone away after that throw. And Kenneth Walker scores that touchdown, and Seattle gets on the board first. I mean, Aaron, I think it's worth just talking about Sam Darnold, right? That's the guy who you have to be talking about after this game. I got to read these stats because as a Seahawks fan, I'm going to be honest, my expectations for Sam weren't very high. They were not necessarily that, hey, Sam Darnold's going to be the one to lead us through this game. The narrative all week that everybody's been saying, including me, is, hey, run the ball, play good defense, hope that you win 20-17. Sam Darnold in this game. And also the mindset was, hey, Sam Darnold's going to turn the ball over at least once. So just be ready for that. Sam Darnold in this game, 25 for 36, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, passer rating of 127.8. I mean, it's the best game he's ever played in the biggest game he's ever played. Talk about Sam Darnold, and I mean, it seemed like he was just in a rhythm all night, and he was really the reason why the Seahawks won this game. Talk about it.
What? Oh, sorry. Sorry, what was the question? I kind of zoned out.
I mean, just talk about Sam Darnold. Like for Sam Darnold to get this monkey off his back, like what do you think that means for him? And I mean, how do you see it personally?
It means everything. I think that when you're Sam Darnold and you've played great the last 2 years, but after last year, you're kind of known as a choker. This is what you needed. 25 for 36, 346 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, especially against the defense that you've struggled against all year, and in a playoff game. This is the ultimate statement for Sam Darnold, and I think he played a near perfect game. Like you couldn't have played. It's hard to play any better than how Sam Darnold played in this game, and it's really what brought them, over the edge to win this game against the Rams. So yeah, you couldn't ask for anything more from Sam Darnold in this game. And he played great.
I think what's next for me is, I mean, in this game, it's Sam Darnold, but it's not just Sam Darnold. And what makes this game a classic, I mean, Matt Stafford and Sam Darnold, it was a legitimate duel. When was the last time we saw a quarterback duel like this? We already mentioned Sam Darnold's stats, 25 for 36, 346 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Matt Stafford went 22 for 35, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like this was a legitimate duel where both teams' run games weren't giving them that much. Like Kenneth Walker had some nice runs, so did Kyren Williams. It was really these two quarterbacks making plays. And it was these two quarterbacks establishing like full-on takeover of the game. So for me, I mean, I gotta give so much credit. Like it feels weird that this Rams team isn't good enough to be in the Super Bowl. Well, they are good enough to be in the Super Bowl. It feels weird that this Rams team, after playing so well, isn't in the Super Bowl. And I mean, I think if you told a lot of people before this game, hey, the Seahawks are going to give up 488 yards of total offense, and they are going to let up 27 points, and Matt Stafford isn't going to turn the ball over, and you're only going to sack him once, I bet a lot of people would probably say, shit, the Seahawks are going to lose. But this game played out in the entirely different way that everyone expected. It was much closer to that second game where at the end of the day, yeah, Helen's over here shaking off. It was much closer to that second game where there was just kind of a shootout game. I mean, Aaron, I think a lot of people are obviously going to be talking about what this game means for Sam Darnold, but I mean, for the Rams, this is a gut-wrenching loss in a year where it really felt like everything was coming together for this Rams team. I mean, talk about this Rams team and how they missed, and I'm going to let Helen out while you talk.
Yeah, this Rams team felt like the first one since they obviously won the Super Bowl where they could really go all the way, and it kind of felt like that all year. But like this was a no doubt MVP season by Matt Stafford. He hit 50 touchdowns if you include the postseason yesterday. So he just played great all season. And it kind of surprises me that they're not going to be in the Super Bowl. I picked the Seahawks, but still it's like, oh, so the Rams just aren't going to be in the Super Bowl this year, especially in a year where it felt like there were a lot of beatable teams in the NFC. I'm not saying that the Seahawks are beatable. I think they're I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Um, but yeah, this season, would you call this season a success for the Rams?
It's so difficult to define that because, like, in my mind, it's difficult to say no. Like, Matt Stafford won MVP. Puka Nacua was the second best receiver in the NFL, no doubt. Your defense was great. Everything worked, and yet you didn't make the Super Bowl. And I felt like this Rams team really was should have made the Super Bowl. Like, I think a lot of people are going to look back and see this Rams team as one of the greatest teams ever to not make it because they have everything. They have the MVP quarterback, like you said. They have the defense. They have the playmakers. They have the coach. I mean, I want to talk about how fortunate we all are as football fans. The fact that we are going to see Mike McDonald versus Sean McVay for the next, I mean, hopefully decade. Like, that is going to happen twice a year. And every single time it happens, it is going to be must watch television, must see TV, because the way that they go back and forth, where I mean, really, for me, the big moment of this game feels like the fourth and what, four turnover in the red zone for the Rams. And the fact that the Seahawks backs were against the wall on defense really the entire second half. And I mean, obviously they have that big moment where they finally get off the field, and then Reek Woolen has that taunting penalty. And we'll talk about that in a second, but it felt like their backs were against the wall the entire second half. And then Mike McDonald just totally bottles up the fourth down play. Like, if you look back on the film of that play, there is absolutely nothing there. And I mean, like, it's just the battle of the minds of, man, it was like these two teams are going to be playing each other for the next decade, and they're both so well coached and so well run, and it's so exciting as a football fan. But I got to give a shout out. Clint Kubiak, like, he pitched a literal 1,000 yesterday, or batted 1,000. What am I talking about? Pitched a perfect game and batted 1,000 are the two things. He pitched a perfect game and batted 1,000. How about that? He did both because it felt like this Seahawks defense could, I mean, the Seahawks offense could do no wrong all night. And for a coordinator in Chris Shula and a defense in the Rams that has had Clint Kubiak's number all year, pretty much up until like the fourth quarter of the second Rams game, all of a sudden he just called a perfect game. And Aaron, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter. A lot of people have been talking about at the end of the first half, there's that sequence where Jackson Smith and Jigba has that big catch down the field. By the way, shout out JSN. I mean, like, JSN and Puka also, the fact that these two guys are on two teams that play each other twice a year, and every time they play, it's like they each have 10 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns or whatever. Also unbelievable. But there's that deep pass to JSN late in the first half. And then Darnold hit JSN wide open in the end zone. And I think there was this idea of, hey, how did JSN get so open in the end zone? They ran a play that was JSN lined up in the backfield, and they put JSN on a scissor route. And they had Rashid Shaheed cross the field and Cooper Kupp down low. And so it took the corner forward, and it brought the other corner across the field with Shaheed. And then Nate Landman was forced to follow Jackson Smith and Jigba on a scissor route into the back corner of the end zone. I mean, like, it's just game planning like that. I mean, if you want me to be honest, I don't know if Clint Kubiak is going to get a job because I'm not sure how many teams will want to wait. But man, like, if the Seahawks lost yesterday, Clint Kubiak would have a job today. He would have a job now because that's the level of game that he called. I mean, it's so hard to sum up when you see another classic game from the same two teams. It's like how every year the Bills and the Chiefs would play a game, and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is another 35-31 overtime win for X team. It was unbelievable. I mean, for you, Aaron, I mean, the Seahawks, I think that there was a big thing yesterday where in the first game, the Seahawks played an excellent all around game. Their defense was dominant, their run game was unstoppable, and Sam Darnold did not have to do much and they won. I think the big question was, okay, we'll take away the run game, see how Sam Darnold plays. Not only did they take away the run game, the defense didn't play well, and Sam Darnold played the best game of his career. Do you feel like this Seahawks team doesn't have an obvious hole? Like, do you feel like this Seahawks team has answered every question, or do you think there's still doubt about Sam Darnold in your mind?
I think they've answered anything. There's no reason to uh, believe that Sam Darnold can't beat a good defense. He just put up 31 points on the Rams. Or he put up 40, or the Seahawks offense put up 41 on the 49ers, and they held them to 6 points. And um, you know, against the Rams have been the one team that kind of felt like they have defeated the Seahawks defense a little bit. Um, but twice this year. Are you? What are you smoking? Twice this year.
I'm thinking about the gong.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So when, so you're saying, so the two times the Rams or like any team has put up or has played like super well against his defense, they've the Seahawks offense turns on. So there's not really an obvious hole where you say, okay, so if this doesn't work, then this doesn't work. Like if their defense doesn't play well, their offense is going to play well. If their offense doesn't play well, the defense is going to play well. Like look at that game. I look at the first game against the Rams. Like they lost, but offense didn't work, and your defense only allowed 21 points against the highest scoring offense in the league. So I think that there's not really an obvious hole with the Seahawks team, and they're going to be a really tough team to beat in the Super Bowl.
I'm like, it's crazy. This game was so good, and I mean, I truly wish I could have experienced it as a third party fan, so I could have enjoyed the game and seen the ups and downs of the game. Because Aaron can vouch, I was a nervous wreck the entire game. I was starting to shut down physically. I was so overwhelmed by the moment. But let's talk about one more thing in this game, and I know it's not necessarily like okay. Before we get on this, the final takeaway of this game is holy shit, this is a rivalry that is incredible, that is always puts up the best game. They have potentially the two best coaches in football. You have potentially the two best wide receivers in football, and you have all these different things that are just making this rivalry electric. And I'm so excited to see where it goes, and they just keep giving us classics. But now I think it comes to something I want to talk about. If the NFL doesn't change the taunting rules, I'm going to have a problem. Like, the taunting rules feel so lame to me, and it's not oh man, it just annoys me. The NFL is a league full of grown men. Some of these guys are 35 years old. They have been in the league for 15 plus years. They are family men. They are guys who are tougher than most people on earth, and they are stronger and bigger and mentally hardened, and they are just grown ass men. To think that you could get a 15-yard penalty automatic first down for chirping at a sideline in a playoff game in the NFC Championship is unbelievable to me. It is simply unbelievable. And I feel like if the are we a Pee-wee league? Are we enforcing sportsmanship? Like, I get it. I think taunting should be a penalty. I don't think you should be able to get into someone's face and necessarily point at them or like outright mock them. Like, hey, if I run onto the other team's sideline and to their bench and look in their quarterback's face and say, man, you fucking suck, you're the worst, blah, 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 blah. Yes, throw a flag on me for that. That's fine. But if I just made a pass breakup and I'm on the field and I'm walking down, I'm like, yeah, guys, let's go. Come on. And I'm talking to the sideline and I'm like, man, I got your number. I got this, I got that, blah, blah, blah. and I get flagged for that in the playoffs, in the game that decides who goes to the Super Bowl, I can't fathom that anyone outside of the 32 owners that agreed to put it forth like the rule. Does anyone in America like this rule? Does any fan like this rule? Does any like regular Joe sitting in a bar in Nebraska look at this and he's like, "Oh, thank God they enforce no talking. Thank God they enforced that because man, I would really hate football if that happened." Like I'll let you take it from here, but like what's your stance on the taunting rule, and not necessarily the taunting rule itself, but the way that it was enforced today, um and the way it was, the moment in which it came in, and the way that if the Seahawks lost, it could have been about this taunting. So I mean, what's your stance on the taunting rules and how you think it should change?
I think the taunting rules are incredibly soft. Like I remember taunting getting called if you like like you said, I understand like calling taunting if you specifically like make an effort to like go up to like a singular person and like point it and like point at them and like do all that stuff, or like if you make like a guns like anything related to like guns, I understand that. But
Like I get taunting if it's like outright going out of your way to
yeah,
publicly like embarrass them doing something extremely unsportsmanlike. I understand it, but I mean, in any other situation, I have trouble stomaching it.
yeah. But when you are in a crucial moment of one of the best games of the year and you get a crucial stop, you get called for taunting for talking to a sideline for like 3 seconds. Like, you might as well get a taunting penalty for talking to like the crowd at that point. Like, you are talking to like coaches, and then the people on the Rams sideline start talking back. There are coaches talking back. Matt Stafford is talking back. Why aren't they also getting, flagged for like unsportsmanlike conduct? So like I feel like there are just so many holes in this and so many inconsistencies with taunting. It's another one of those like subjective penalties that I feel like the NFL has added a lot more. Taunting is different for different people. I feel like because I feel like I've seen players talking to sidelines and they don't get flagged for it. Nothing happens to them. Um, so I think that it's not a good penalty. I think it should exist, but it should be far less common. I think it's become way too common ever since the NFL has kind of tightened up on it a few years ago.
It's a subjective penalty that doesn't have to do with anything on the field in the middle of a play.
Yeah.
In what world should that be allowed? Like, one ref might be very lenient and might say, you know what, I'm gonna be loose, so I'm gonna let them talk, whatever. And then there might be another ref who says, I don't want them to talk. I'm gonna be very strict. And all of a sudden, you have two different standards being set at the same time. So, in one game, a player can walk up to a receiver that they just locked up a corner and do the sword, and they can do that. And then all of a sudden, in one game, in the next game, they do that, and it's a penalty for taunting. I don't know. I mean, I felt like in the mid 2010s there was a reputation that the NFL was starting to break out of that no fun league reputation, where they were, like there was a point. Remember when they started to allow celebrations that involved the ball? Like, do you remember that? Like when in like the mid 2010s they allowed more elaborate celebrations, and finally, like teams were getting in the end zone. They were having these fun dances, and they were using the ball as props and stuff. And it felt like the league was starting to get more fun. And then, like randomly, they just like went back on it, and now all of a sudden they're way too strict.
I feel like it's almost an effort to make the game like more family friendly, like set an example. But like I understand that, like trying to appeal to like a younger audience, but that's not what the NFL is about. The NFL largely tailors to middle-aged people. Like you don't like you don't see a ton of, like pee-wee football players with their eyes glued to games a lot. Like it doesn't happen, especially now. So like when you're like you're trying to make your target audience kids. This is just what I feel, at least. Like you're trying to make your target audience kids when that's not your main audience, and you have no reason to do that. Um, in the NFL. So I don't know. It's annoying, stupid.
Yeah, and once again, it just feels like and like we said, I understand it if it's egregious or if it's obscene or if it's something that might be controversial. Like if a player walks up and does some like gesture that's like, gross or like obscene or vulgar, graphic in any way, I understand it. It's fine. But the idea that for talking, you can get a penalty for talking
Yeah,
feels so lame to me. And I know a lot of people were like, well, you don't know what he said. I don't care. Frankly, I don't care what he said. I don't care. I don't care if he was saying, man, I got your guy's number like that, or if he was like, man, you guys fucking suck. You're the worst team in the league. Fuck you. Fuck all of you. Like, if he was saying that, I still don't care. You want to know why? Because they're grown men and their feelings won't get hurt. Like,
yeah,
whatever. It's so lame. It's so lame. And I know the NFL won't listen to me because why would they? But they should because I represent the common man. I'm an everyman. Look at me. I'm just some guy, and I hate the rule. And I think I would I want there to be like a national study done. How many people actually support the rule? Like, how many people are
yeah.
actually like, oh, this is great for the league. This is awesome. This makes the league more fun to watch. Whatever. It's so lame and boring. But that's that for Seahawks Rams. That's a good way to cap off a classic game, classic weekend, and a lot of coaching news still to come. I mean, we're gonna have a couple weeks here. We will have an episode for you later this week in the scheduled slot for like where we would do like previews. But I think we might end up coming up with our own idea here. Maybe we'll talk about some of the teams that made the playoffs and lost, and maybe we'll talk about, hey, like what do they need to do to get back or to be better. Maybe we'll have some fun with that. We won't be talking about the Super Bowl this week. That will likely be saved for next week, and we'll do a preview for that game. But yeah, I mean, really excited. My Seahawks are in the Super Bowl, so hopefully we win. Because if we lose, I'm
Sorry.
I'm gonna have to be like on like you might find me at like the top of a building if the Seahawks lose. So yeah, that's that. But before we go, Aaron, I just straight up kind of outed you. I'll play the gong sound effect over that in post. Um what happened today in history?
Um, few big things happened today. Um, I'd say probably the biggest is sadly, 6 years ago today, Kobe Bryant died. Um, so that's pretty sad. Um, should have talked about this during the Browns coaching talk. But Condoleezza Rice is sworn in as the first black Secretary of State, first black female Secretary of State. The Bears beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 20, I believe. XX, right? Um, the Republic of India is born today in 1950. And, well, this is a pretty entertaining day. Um, today in 1500, the first European explorer reaches Brazil. It's a pretty big moment. And a British settlement begins in what is now Australia. So pretty big day for today in history. Picked a good day to do this.
Pretty big day. Yeah, you're right. That's a interesting slate of events. Now, as we all know, I will also do today. Born on today. Today is January 26th, And I only pick one person who I wish happy birthday to. I only pick one person who I feel deserves my happy birthday wish. But until then, I will say some of the people that were in consideration. Uh, Ellen was born today, but I don't like Ellen, so I'm not going to wish her happy birthday. Wayne Gretzky born today. Shout out the great one. General Douglas MacArthur was born today. Vince Carter born today. Eddie Van Halen, Paul Newman. Paul Newman, you make great salsa, so shout out. But he didn't get
Popcorn.
my popcorn too. Yeah, he makes a lot of good stuff. Jose Mourinho was born today. For soccer fans out there. But they did not get my wish because I thought that there was one person that truly deserved my happy birthday, wish and greeting. And that person is none other than the great Hall of Famer, played a game on a broken leg, Jack Youngblood. Happy birthday, Jack Youngblood. He turned 76 today. He was born today in Jacksonville in 1950. He played the entire 1979 playoffs with a broken fibula. Aaron's moving the camera around, getting a little crazy effect there. Aaron, give me a dolly zoom with your reaction to the fact that he played the entire 1979 playoffs with a broken leg.
I don't know. That's pretty crazy.
The production value is high on this show.
Production value going up. It's going up day by day.
Yeah, as you can notice, Aaron now has light, so he's not getting dark in the middle, and he's not having to wave his hands around. So hopefully that's the end of that. Production value is getting high right as we reach our peak. I would like to say to you guys, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And I don't have anything else to say. Aaron, give some final words here. That's going to do it for this video. See you guys next time. Peace out.